sold as the redemption for Finesse. NRG, again, a team that was expected to win trophies, to kind of reach that Optic level again. Haven't lived up to it thus far. And a tough game here, especially looking at these map picks.
Yeah.
We're going into 2 maps that G2 has not lost this year. And NRG picking Lotus, which I feel like has been G2's best map this year.
Yeah, we don't often, now it is quite a league thing to say you've lost at the draft, but I am worried here for NRG. The last time that G2 lost on Lotus was in July of 2024.
Okay.
And this year they're on a 7-map win streak on Lotus. Undefeated, beat T1 13-5 at Bangkok.
And I don't have better news, because the last performance for NRG, they lost to Furia.
I mean, that's, you're saying that mad disrespect on Furia.
Still.
G2 got pushed a little bit on this map by Furia too.
Still.
But no, it's not, no,
I
it's
would
not
say
good.
Furia, G2, maybe a little different level of team. We're in the Agent
Slightly.
Select.
Yeah, we
Slightly.
are. We're in the Agent Select. I mean, in terms of this as well, though, I think if you're NRG, I'm going to paint you a picture here for this NRG squad. They've been playing catch-up. They've swapped out a couple of the core pieces in terms of the coach. They've got a new player in as well in terms of Brock coming in. And so you're playing catch-up to every other team. You're up against G2, currently probably the best team in America, some might say.
Yeah.
And definitely putting up the numbers to prove that. You need a curveball. You need a risk to take at some point. Is it here in the map draft? Do you think that's why they're going in? They've got something that they've seen in G2's playing Lotus. It's a hard ask, Josh. You're frowning and scowling at me.
Well, because, okay, I can see where you're coming from, and I do think there's a huge amount of data. If you want the tape advantage, if you want to talk about what Finesse is normally great at, it's coming up with good anti-strats after he's got a huge amount of tape on the team. And there is massive amounts of tape. And G2 have changed their composition recently on Pearl, but they haven't changed their comp on Lotus. You kind of know what they're going to do. But also, you're going into a map that they were 7-0 on this year.
Yeah, they are 7-0.
It kind of feels like, you know, when you see the guy at the roulette table and you're like, oh God, and he's like, no, it's
the
due.
next one.
It's
the next
due.
one's the big one.
Red is due, I swear.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, mate.
99 quit right before they win Lotus over G2.
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like. But if there is going to be some kind of win here for NRG, I think it's powered off Som and Mada having an amazing individual game and good anti.
We're seeing it. There's an early little contestation going on. Jorgamo obviously can be the piece of bait at the end of the stick here. He's got his gate crash sitting nice and pretty. So G2 are just trying to put up a couple of walls, I think, make it a bit harder to take that mound control.
NRG is a team that always plays really slow when they're on the attack side of this map, but they like getting Finesse embedded in a different place, oftentimes going for these lurk up B into A. But I think what G2 do really well with their Yoru comp is showing early looks where they're fighting a piece of the map, then having Jaw TP back and going for this mid-round re-aggression. It makes this slow style a little tough as NRG go for their own reclear on mound here.
And it looks like they're getting set up to go for a CXX, although NRG with a minute on the clock, normally pretty happy to pump the brakes at spots like this. You saw that Jorgamo tapped the door right before he teleported out, but that didn't really threaten too much because Finesse was watching it, and now Finesse regroups, and it does look like we're going to end C.
Yeah. Valen with the paranoia ready to go here.
Yeah, Held as a nade at his back as well. He's going to have to shift the position and move off to the side already. Entry's coming through, so fault line back through main as well. It's slowed NRG down to a crawl for now. G2 are perfectly happy to try and play the retake into this.
Very slow, very
refight. Oh wait, this could be explosive right now. They want to try and fight this one! Straight into the maw, G2! Man, they like stacked him up and knocked him down again. And already revealed close quarters into the pillar. That's going to be Finesse, not long for this. Whoa, the Jorgamo just cleaning them all up.
The ultimate Jaw round to start this game. When you're talking about a changing of the guard, Jorgamo is that player. A world champion has been finding his form even better than in Kickoff, then at Bangkok thus far in this first stage, and no one better than him to win that pistol round for G2.
Gets G2 off onto the right foot, not exactly what NRG were looking for there. I feel like the opening skirmish was pretty good. They get in onto the C site and even trying to go for the walk up to the smokes to see if they could manufacture themselves a pick before the retake was coming through. But the game plan didn't quite work there. And now it's going to be probably round 3 before we get to see what NRG are really cooking. It is interesting somewhat to note as well that they've made a swap away from the Neon comp. We didn't discuss that too much in the Agent Select, but Mada was playing Neon in the last 2 instances, I think, of NRG playing Lotus. And so this should be a little slower on the attack side, I think.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit tougher to actually contest for that, like, early rubble fight, the early mound fight, when you're trying to beat the timings on your opponent's utility. When you
on attack side,
comps, yeah.
On defense, arguably it makes it a little easier, I would say. With the
Sure,
nade.
having like the nade, a couple extra PC util to actually win that fight as well.
But you know how G2 are going to play these kind of spots. This Viper wall's critical. Once it's up, they can decide to refight over it. It's often going to be Trent and Jonah P that are taking control of B. I'm wondering if NRG have got a couple of plays to try to jump onto Trent or Jonah in these like first 30 seconds of a round.
Jonah is yet to use his stun. He does a really good job of keeping that tool online for these later rounds. Leaf caught off, but just goes 1-for-1 that goes.
Yeah, dropped out there towards the side as well. We're going to see Jorg is immediately supplementing the defense ever so slightly, but the slow play of NRG is working in their favor to a degree, but they're going to be meeting open arms to Trent. It's close quarters now with a stinger in hand. Strikes back, a lot of damage done, softening up these NRG players. Not much you can really do into this one. You're just going to be stepping straight into a trap that's been primed and ready over towards B. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. You're just going to scurry away and see what else you can get.
I mean, give the kills to Jorg too. He gets his ult online. That's about the only player that it would have been bad to feed those final 2 kills to. G2 are now in a spot where they can even play retake on a site and feel pretty comfortable with dimensional drift in their back pocket. You saw what Jorg was able to do on the pistol round playing retake.
Yeah, earlier in this round, NRG had a lurk up towards B, but they wanted to call back into it, commit to this A hit, but in doing so, allow just one guy in an off angle to completely stall them out there. They will have the guns now, so I think a better look at any changes they want to make playing with this Raze instead of the Neon here.
This is where we see the strategy come out from NRG, I'm telling you. This is what it was all about. Where did that happen?
Finesse?
That was B main.
I mean, he's just running down,
Yeah.
Diff and Valen in the 1v1. Didn't expect to see that.
I've always said Finesse is the better frag in IGL.
Have you now?
I've always said that.
I've
He
heard
might
that
have
from
always
him.
been wrong. That's an insane statement to make. But this is good by G2, a bit of calm re-exploration. They're going to contact up through as well. Maybe able to catch cheeky pick off onto Finesse, who is still holding it down.
Josh, if Finesse is the better frag in IGL, here's his chance to show it.
Jorg is not going to clear this.
Oh, Jorg just snaps to the side. I mean, 90 degrees. He just cleans him all the way up. And here's that ult that's been built up prior. Quick exchange of the weapons, and now we're going to see it. Dimensional drift. See what info we can get on top of all of it. It's going to be that fault line. You can see it. Jonah P's waiting for it like a heat-seeking missile. He's looking for the right target. Popped it in through the back of the site. Vulnerable up, stunned up. Not a chance in hell for Ethan. The rest of his team, NRG, have got a decent foothold for now, though, towards the back of the site. They're going to look to try and push this one back fully for the bonus round of G2. They're looking for value, and Leaf is getting it. It leaves it just as Som in a 1v2, tucked to the corner. A lot of damage done to Leaf. Barely a shred to survive, and he has isolated it into the 1v1, but does he expect the reposition up to the side? It's missed entirely, and Jonah P converts it up, adds the bonus to the tally.
It's an awkward spot there for Som. He's been great for them this year, but he just puts himself in a position where he has to be worried about so many angles. And I like that you highlighted Finesse when he was tucked in that corner, because I think if he kills Jorgamo there, honestly, I think the round's over.
Round.
It is a totally different round. I don't know how, because it feels like Jorg didn't actually clear that properly. But Finesse didn't actually convert the kill, and so the Yoru ult can come through that he generated in the prior round. And this is a disastrous start for NRG.
Yeah, and no matter if you're picking into this map, think you have a better macro idea than G2. What G2's always going to be good at is having these plays in the mid-round off any ult they have built up. They have looked like the best team this year at implementing this Yoru into set plays. Saw a great display there to get Jaw a completely free kill and open that map up on the retake.
This could be deadly. Leaf Outlaw in hand against a multitude of players with half armor. NRG, of course, going to be playing this one slow and steady. Losing an early player, though. Mata going down. That's the player you were hoping to load the orbs up.
I love how much Leaf buys into the Outlaw. I think a lot of teams have underrated that weapon's value, but he was one of the first to, any chance he sees a lesser buy, he's abusing that gun to maximum potential.
Look at the way as well, on anti-ecos, how G2 stack over towards B more than they would usually. This time you see Leaf again taking contact here, but they're making sure that if NRG do the classic, we hit B on an eco round, that G2 have got the personnel ready to defend.
Quick swing in through the back, though. Ethan, quick to dismiss Leaf. G2 are happy to play this one, though, fully for the retake. They've got to at least carve out a bit of map control. In through A, looks like Stairs is going to be the name of the game.
Jonah, Trent both have their rechargeables online.
Making their way forwards here. Finesse really needs to be the playmaker. The dagger in the back, and he hears it. Multitudes of players still. They whip it around to the sides of the rifles in hand. It's a 2v1. As quick as that, Ethan isolating it. Brings us to that 1v1. Ult earned on top of it. Jorgen with a tap as well. Completely avoided, but with the shots fired off, Ethan, he's still going to go for it. Rolling Thunder going wide and damage done. Jorg single digits, yet where the hell is he pulling that from?
Against his former teammate of all people, Jaw pulls it off right at the end, and that's a heartbreak for Ethan. Earning the Rolling Thunder, investing it on a one-on-one that he couldn't bring across the line.
That's gross. I've got to see the replay of that. How does he even hit that shot? He's stunned up, right? Because he jumps in order to just get around the corner, taps the spike again, and somehow lands the kill. What?
He was still stunned!
He doesn't see him! He's not on his screen!
Oh, that's disgusting.
And he waves at Ethan across the room. I mean,
nah,
that's a Jaw round.
That's not okay. He's 9-1. That is not all right. That's not cricket.
Yeah, this NRG team is struggling to get any sort of space and semblance of it. They've been gifted good portion towards A rubble. G2 not opting into the refight. Instead, they're going to be pushing and squeezing onto Finesse now. They know that he's relatively alone. There's no pincer maneuvers happening from the B sides, but they are running this guy down. He needs to be very careful of that. Leaf isolated on a bit of an island, stunned up to the side and needs some support and backup. That's a pit drop down up top though. That's matter. Precision is necessary and Leaf has been cleaned up. Light removed from the site. 3v4 scenarios where G2 find themselves in.
Really good pace on that hit from NRG. As soon as they spotted an opening, they pounced. Leaf was not allowed any moment to thrive, but what's going on there?
Someone's been cleaned up.
It feels like G2 have got an opening back into the round.
It's a 3v3, they're waiting for the right timings onto this one. Door's going to be opening wide at a moment's notice, and there it is. Paranoia sweeps forwards, fully blinded up as well. There's a return of the fire. NRG doing anything to stem the bleeding, anything to survive here. Matter's got to do so much more, and it's just impossible for him. G2, where did they get this level of discipline from?
It all looked so good for NRG. A great reaction, a great execute into A, and then a 3v5 squandered with the death on the Omen ult, and G2 classically showing, as FNS said in his interview, the best team play that any squad has in this league.
Well, also, some just Omen ults into his death.
That's true.
I mean, that's what turns it from a 3v5 into an even round that G2 wins.
Yeah, I think it was a 4v4 there, then a 4v3, and then, yeah, straight back into a 3v3. I mean, that is just unusual. It feels like NRG are getting into spots to win these rounds, but can't find either the big pick in the mid to late round, or can't fight together well enough on the post plant.
It was a 1v1 they lost, followed by another 1v2 that Ethan almost won. And then this round, where they were ahead again, Mike's the new coach for NRG that they grabbed for stage 1, has to call his first timeout and right the ship here, because G2 already getting 5 on defense.
Yeah. No one remembers that the rounds are close if you get 13-0'd. You know what I mean? Like, yes, these rounds have been close and they have been winnable for NRG, but when you're
implying that they're going to get 13-0.
No. No, I'm not implying that. I'm just using that as a hyperbolic kind of analogy. Obviously, we just watched a game that should have been a 13-0, and instead, Crew, got a 12-0 half and then couldn't win an attack round on
Yeah,
Pearl,
I mean,
so.
2 of these players were here for the only 13-0 in VCT history.
That's so true. That's so true.
They won champs that year, but not quite there yet.
Yeah, G2 7-0 on Lotus this year.
And this is NRG's map pick, Bren.
Does connect. A lot of damage done to Valen. No kill, though, to be found.
Bit of a bait and switch kind of setup, but they don't end up going into Valen.
Seeing all that util, I think NRG believe that G2's put a lot of resources into the C fight, but
no way.
That's just spam.
I mean, it's pure instinctual, no? Yeah, a bit of spam onto the corner, maybe aware that he'd already crossed in here in that TP, and this is NRG just being picked at 2 pieces across the map. Any cohesive idea that they might have had.
They're also just playing very spread. I mean, Mada was just trying to find an individual timing there. It wasn't really based off a wider game plan, I don't think.
Leaf's not being denied any of this. Armageddon to try and push these players straight into the fight and fray, but there's a tight corner and a gap to play in. Weaving in and out, back and forth. Trent calling for a bit of help. That's Jorgamo with a tidy little 3-piece to put a finish to that round. 6-0. G2 have dinner reservations.
That they do. NRG wanted to play this like a slow default every round, try and work out where G2 is headed. But their players that are out on island in so many of these rounds are either getting caught by reclears, getting taken out by spam through smoke, or anything of the like. G2 is almost always playing from an advantage in the mid round.
And then even the few rounds where NRG have had a spot where they're in the lead, they can't convert.
And talk of things that are troubling. No ults for NRG. Yoru ult, Breach ult. The train keeps rolling for G2.
They're gonna try and disrespect this mound hold. Dogamo is really just a lightning rod for all this utility. A ton of it being pulled out of NRG just to try and take the first section of C, get access to the orb, I suppose.
And have a look at how much information Leaf is getting over towards A. He's just jiggling in front of his own wall, has full info down this spot. So they don't need to be worried about it at all, right? The whole of G2 can stack defensive players towards C, towards B. And when you've heard that much noise on C, and you know that B is a likely end for a lot of these eco rounds, I think they're feeling pretty here about the defensive setup.
The drone just saw a player rotating back towards A. That'll pull Trent over.
You can hear it. Drone clears most of the way as well through out into rubble. Just a slight delay with a snake bite, but NRG are not biting. Gonna meander their way back over towards C mound. Looks like Finesse never really gave up that space wholeheartedly. And you've seen the dimensional drift. It's going to be used for a bit of reclearing information into the mid round here for G2. They're going to realize pretty quickly now this is landing over towards C here in all this util, but they're perfectly happy to play the retake on top of it.
5v5 C retake. This is one of the best cases for Stingers.
Salvos, fault lines, all going to be coming out here. NRG needs a little bit extra. I think you can see they're gearing up for a fight towards Waterfall. They want to try and push past the lines of scrimmage, see what they can get here with util held out into the hands. Stuns flying forwards, and really, to the dismay of NRG, they're just unable to really carve out any sort of path. There's 8 seconds remaining. Spikes in his hands, Brook. He needs a bit more where that came from. 2.
Time.
Still time has ran away entirely.
You melons. No, that was... Honestly, I actually quite like that from NRG. Yeah, they were working things around in the mid-round to get into a position where they can get into a bit of a post plant. Yeah, they kind of scattered towards the end there. But this little combo play from Jonah P and Trent, where Jonah is jiggle peeking with his ultimate, and then because of the gap...
These guys are absolutely lost.
I mean, that's tragic. Because of there's a gap at the front of your Breach ultimate, right? And so they put a bounce Tejo stun at the front. So there's just stuns everywhere to cover NRG.
Another C fight, though.
Yeah, they haven't actually found a way past this one. Oh, hold on. Wait a minute. Jorgamo! Yeah, stunned up and suppressed from the drone. There's no escaping that one. They finally found a solution to try and navigate what G2 have been doing at the beginning of every single round. Amada barely alive himself, one away from the ult. We're going to see it immediately. Steel guard and sweeping his way across the site. It's going to give it open access, at least if NRG choose to commit. In through eventually, satcheling forwards. Mada wants to gain some ground for the rest of his team, but there's a deep flank already occurring. Leaf on the back line, Armageddon to try and push them back and away to buy a bit of extra time, but these players to get in. Finesse has not been spotted and has not been cleared. It's a tidy 2-piece for this IGL. He's done a lot to try and stop whatever could be occurring here. Just wrangles the rifle in play. Ethan finally putting a stop to Trent and Leaf onto the flank here. Trying to play the percentage play, just buy this time, but what can you really do in this spot? A 1v3, you have to ISO every single fight available. And NRG are not willing to give up too much more. Doubled up, high-low, just trying to bait that swing out and spam through the box. We'll finally do it. 7-1, avert your eyes if you're Brazilian.
Finally, a break caught for NRG. They've tried that C-Mound fight a couple times, but every time, Dodgemo has managed to get away on the TP. I'm not sure what happened. I think he might have gotten stunned by the Tejo drone, and it canceled out his teleport, because he did have a gate crash ready to get out there.
Yeah, he got suppressed by it. He got suppressed and tried to take it, but it canceled in mid-animation. So he wasn't able to escape. And then, I mean, that's one of the best counters to the Yoru in the current meta, is just trying to get that tag onto them. So NRG finally got on the board. It feels way too late, and here G2 looking like they might want to go for a re-clear. Do NRG read this?
Yeah, set up. Jordan's got a flash being held. There it is. It's a fault line and a paranoia. Showstopper! You're blind as anything! Yeah, Mada! He had no choice but to let loose of it, but he just ended up dying anyway, and waiting and walking all the way in. Finesse is alone on a bloody island! The rest of his team not following up behind it and spam through B main. Preemptive here by G2. They know what was following up, and Finesse has already taken up all that space. Quick jump spot. And they know that they can give this one up. There's confidence here that they can play this one 2v4.
It was actually a nice macro timing from Finesse slipping his way in. He just wasn't looking at the right stuff.
Paranoia is good as well. That's a great connection. Kills need to be laid claim to Valin. How are you doing that? He squares straight up. Wins the fight out. Ethan left alone. Too much to do into this spot here.
And down he goes. G2, I think they've done a really good job all game at having people ready for this B pivot. When Finesse is calling on this map, he loves playing around with tapping the door in the mid round, opening up into blue room and calling into these pivots. But G2 have consistently been in positions where they're always checking on this space. They're shutting down Finesse's lurk and denying these pivots actually having any teeth.
Nice!
NRG are going to have to win all the rest of the rounds in the half to even have a chance here, though. They've clearly picked this map thinking that they had some kind of read on what G2 were going to be doing. I assumed that it was going to be based off G2's defense. They thought they'd be able to find a gap, perhaps the fact that they don't run a hard sentinel on this map. Maybe they thought they'd be able to get some pops into certain sites. I haven't really seen a specific idea that NRG feel like they've really been going for this half. Like normally when there's heavy ante that goes into a pick like this, there's some specific theme that you can dig into. Like we're ending C a ton, or we're really trying to pop B in a lot of these situations. Whereas I feel like it's a bit more of a standard Finesse attack side that we're seeing, where he's trying to do the push and pull on the rotates, but there's no specific punish on a G2 tendency that I've noticed so far. Or at least if he's been trying it, I can't tell, perhaps because it hasn't been working.
Yeah, they've been getting into positions a couple times this half where they've found the right site, where they're in a winning position. But even when that's happening, that's when the G2 individualism is just shining. Jojimo, 16-5 across 9 rounds.
That's filthy.
Almost 2 kills around for this guy. And bad news, NRG fans. We're going into Ascent after this, where he's been averaging a 2.0 KD on the Waylay as well.
Cutting through.
Leaf showing contact, trying to feign like they've changed their defensive setup, but Valin and Jorgamo still sitting here pretty. It's a bait set up by G2. And NRG might just be falling for it, thinking that Leaf is alone, isolated, the only one defending. See if they take this time in fast enough. Rolling Thunder through into the corner, and here it is. This is where the danger lies. They do not know that Jorgamo crouched down into the corner. It's a 3-piece for him. It's a perfect setup on every single level for G2.
The second you think you figure this team out, they show another wrinkle in the plan. An absolutely perfect bait from G2. Jojimo not only avoids all of the util coming in, doesn't get caught by the ultimate, and not a soul from NRG looks over to punish him.
And that's a sick read. G2 have already, before the barriers even drop, know that this is ending C.
Yep.
Oh my god!
And this is now
Let's go!
2 timeouts that NRG have taken, that G2 then find the perfect read on their defensive side and win the round straight after.
Now this one is not quite the right read. G2 playing for a re-clear over towards the A side, and only Leaf holding this area down.
Gotta be careful here. Bullet tag down, slowed. Barely alive as well, just able to get out of there.
Jorg teleports in as well to give him some reinforcements.
NRG are so slow on this, they've lost their moment towards C.
Valin. Oh my god, that's cheeky. He's gone for the peek. Again, he's lucky to be alive as well. That's a mad dash and evacuation away. You can see Brock, he's considering it. Bits and pieces of util now for the rubble. Re-clearance out through A, but Jonah P primed and holding down the line. Immediately removes Brock from the fight. He's forced to watch from the spectator seat.
Bren Jaws in another corner.
Portal closed.
Uh-oh.
And they're heading to his site.
All grouped up now. Flash tucked up. Will they clear him out of this spot here? Thorns are going to be swinging out wide. Wall up. Door opened up on top of it, so quick pivot again from NRG. They want to move. Moves over, but this is just Jorgamo. He's taking liberties in the moment.
What a beautiful read there from Jorg. After the pivot comes through, his bait and switch spot wasn't really relevant, and now he's got the dimensional drift to clear out and look for all of the aggressive spots that NRG are going to be fighting over.
Yeah. Mada, I don't think he's going to anticipate this yet. Leaf tucked to the side once more. It's the bait and switch setups. Hiding their intent. G2, I mean, they are looking more than in control, man. It's like they bloody invented the map.
And the macro was solid there for NRG. He found what he wanted, eked out that there was an opening towards C late in this round, but at 2 different points. As they're rotating through, a G2 player takes a perfect timing, and gets a pick. Ends in that 3v5 there.
I mean, I think
my
also you
God,
could
guys
criticize
are
that in the
frying.
post plant, Mada fights over towards Waterfall while Finesse is looking over towards Spawn, and they're not really doing stuff together to try to create advantages in post plant spots. The map's over. Like, this is a GG go next. And maybe you could have called that 3 or 4 rounds ago. I don't know.
I mean, you were calling it before the map started.
Well, yeah, they lost in the draft.
As a reminder, 7-0, G2's record. This is looking like a number 8 on the year.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine a comeback from this spot.
But it's going to be laid down reactively here. Leafs just trying to push back. Potential play from NRG, trying to get themselves into the C site. Slow and steady, not really been working out for NRG. And even this aggressive reclear, look at this, Jonah P wants to try and take an early fight, an engagement, it's going to be calling for the reinforcements. Finesse laid it down to the side, he's got his teammates trying to hold and help him out.
They don't overstay their welcome though, do they? Perfect little bit of pressure and then they back up. Now it's going to be Valin tested as NRG look to re-clear over towards Rubble. And he just backs off before any of that pressure will come through.
There's been multiple times this map where NRG are in a position, if they had activated just a couple seconds earlier, could have caught someone on a re-clear. But G2 has been a step ahead in the positioning practically all of this half, and another attempt to maybe threaten a pivot back towards B here.
Doors opens up. A lot of information gathered though for G2 as well, making sure that there's no possible option for a B pivot, which is exactly what NRG are trying to go for. All into blue room, Armageddon up top. This is going to be close here, pushing these players into the sight lines. Jogamo somehow wins up that fight onto the flank here. Still, blue room needs to be accounted for with only 18 seconds left. No one's watching their backs, but in a squeeze onto them. It's a vice grip that G2 have layered down, yet still a player advantage is somehow found here for NRG, but they're just running out of time. It's a tap from Mado. Which direction are you really going to be sending this one in? There's 5 seconds left, and a double peek forwards anyway. 4 seconds remaining, barely getting onto it, yet somehow, no way, man. Valin, he just carves out a path to success.
And this is the difference between G2 and NRG. When you look at their IGLs, Valin is that guy in 2025. Not only is he leading this team, calling a near perfect half, but winning out the clutch to close things out there. And that's just such a heartbreaker for NRG, because again, Finesse finds a great timing here, punishes onto Leaf, lurks into C, but the spike is completely stuck, and G2 just in a position to pinch and close things out.
Yeah, they can't go back to Finesse because they have to go through B.
Hey, Mata, you're like that, right? Where are you at? Hey, you're like...
It's all good. Lucky out.
And they can see him. He's right across the row from NRG.
Yeah, it's impossible to ignore.
Yeah, that is just pure dominance from G2. We're going to go to a quick break on the other side of things. We're going to see if we can get this map wrapped up nice and pretty.
Oh.
Huh, nature sure is full of wonders. Red Bull gives you wings.
The new Red Bull Zero is here. 100% wings with monk fruit extract.
Now, anytime you get a one-sided game like this, you've got to be on Pi Watch.
Of course,
right?
especially with NRG, Finesse in the
With Finesse and Som, who've, you know, kind of brought this to the forefront with their co-streams.
Of course.
Now, there are no Pies here. Finesse, 4-12, Som, 4-11.
Well, maybe some reverse Pies if that's something you believe in.
But the good version of Pi, Jorgma with the 22/7, rough fractional percentage.
Dude, this guy's a nerd.
Approximation of Pi, put as
Putting
a
on my glasses,
fraction.
the 22/7, the mollies at this particular angle.
All I'm saying is,
I'm giving you a swirly after this cast.
yes. See me hung up by my boxes somewhere.
All right, let's see. How much does this get dragged out? Did G2 just
It's a
give
good
us a nice
start.
early end to this, potentially? Yeah, it's a good start for NRG. Opening pick off for them. Spike dropped down as well into rubble.
Yeah, it's a difficult spot to try to retrieve that, actually, especially with the one-way. But like I said, a strange, bad game from Som so far. He's normally up at the top of the scoreboard in almost every game that NRG have had this year.
It just feels bad to watch these moments because, again, NRG at an advantage and just the players in a slightly off positioning loses their life, and now this is advantage to G2. They have a nearly open A site. Ethan, the only one to try and hold here.
Yeah, he's feeling some heat, but
They're not even headed this
yeah,
way.
Spike's not going to be going into his direction. Mada's also got a bit of a pincer maneuver occurring. Doesn't want to overplay his hand here just on 22 health, so making sure that he can hold for any repushes. But I think, well, at least NRG are very much aware that it's heading over towards B. They hear it now with the plan committed. Not quite. Pushed back, I think, by the salvos.
Are they going back to A here? They might have baited Mada
They
in.
have. It's just this slow play. It's just baiting these players from NRG, hunting for any sort of mid-round information. And they are just falling, dropping like flies.
John out 2 for 2 against his former initiator.
Spike planted.
Sticking with the plan. Coming up close again. Leaf, is he going to be anticipated onto this angle? Doesn't even matter if he's anticipated.
It's tragic. Every spot you see like that, where it should be an NRG player that's like prime ready for the kill.
Buddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
You watch a pistol like this, it should have gone the way of NRG. It should have.
Now, over under, NRG forces next round.
What do you mean under?
Over under, I'll give
Don't
you
worry, we'll
percentage.
save for next map,
Yeah, we'll
guys.
save it for the next
Put it in
map.
the Dow. That'll go well.
I mean, what is this fight?
Yeah, I don't know, bro. And this here, just,
How?
like I said, man, okay.
There's been a couple of spots like that today.
Okay.
I mean, there's been way too many spots like that.
Anytime a round is close and it looks like NRG can win, that has been happening.
No, guys, I'm leaning forwards. I'm locking in for this last round, okay? Surely this is it.
I mean, NRG are going to try to delay it as long as possible here.
This point just feels like a stay of execution, even if they win this.
12-1.
Pound for pound, getting a bit of mid-round information, but it's broken on either side here. Fault line, clearance out through C-Mound. Juggernaut's going to be farming up the orbs, or at least a tap on it, trying to bait out some sort of response. Deep push from Mada. Find out if this one's anticipated. Stays his hands just tilting onto the shoulder, aiming to take the fight. G2 can do no wrong.
The awareness from Trent is immaculate in that spot. He's jiggle peeking not for a position over towards root or rubble, but literally for the exact position that Mada is in.
Fake into C. NRG's reasonably bought into this one. 2 players here. Mateo leaning over as well.
Yeah, they broke the clone, but it still triggered the wall.
What? It's unfortunate, to be honest, for NRG, but at this point...
And look at A, look at A.
Yeah, it's completely open.
Mada went down, and Finesse is trying to gamble that Valen is going to rotate back over to B or C instead of going for the most obvious approach, but there's no one home here.
The entire NRG attack side was trying to call rounds like this, the masterclass Finesse fake, every time. G2 did not bite, and here it's just perfection from G2, a fake, a post-plant 5v4 to close out this map.
G2 are in complete control out towards the site and towards the back of it. Trent's got a watchful eye, Leaf can hear it. Jump spot, rumble of footsteps. Not sure if he's going to be anticipating 2 of these plays. The fault line, no way. No way. Tiny's the corners here. ADS up. Now will be falling into the end here. NRG finding themselves with a bit of an advantage. Got to be careful where you step, Trent, but still he's sharp and snappy with the aim. Sling it in hand, leaving it just down to 1v1. Som 10 HP in a dream. And it will remain just that. 13-1 is the finish. G2 wrapping it up nice and quick.